Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day today to learn about how this partnership is helping businesses in Illinois to improve their workplaces and their bottom lines. I'm your host, Shawn Verbrugghe. I'm a certified business energy professional, and I'm Vice President of Sales and Marketing with HotWattEnergy. Today's webinar is entitled Retro-commissioning Meets Shared Energy Savings. And I'll give you an overview of what that means and why this can be a game changer for your business in just a moment. First, I'll post some questions, just kind of get the gears turning a little bit of how this might be able to impact your business. So I use the scale of 1 to 10 with my son all the time, so we'll go with that today. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd like you to think about how important is cost reduction in your business right now. And on that same scale, how important is sustainability in your organization? And lastly, how much work has been done to optimize your building systems or implement energy efficiency measures or bring your building up to speed with today's technology? So regardless of where you're at on those numbers, if any of these, you're looking to increase any of these numbers, I think you'll really appreciate this program. So just a couple of quick housekeeping notes. Our presentation should be about 40 or 50 minutes with some Q&A at the end. If you have any questions in the meantime, you can shoot them in the chat box and we'll be sure to get to them later. We've got 3 presenters besides myself today. First, we'll have Todd Quigley, who is an energy advisor specialist with Ameren Illinois Savings Program. And then we'll hear from our financial ally, Quentin Barnes with Molumia. Also joining us is energy engineer and building expert, Paulo Baldi-Sorato. Sorry, Paulo. Guys, I appreciate each of you joining us. And basically just to help educate everyone tuning in. This webinar will be recorded and be available for download, so you don't have to take any notes. So to start off with, let's talk about why we created this program specifically for the food and beverage industry. Over the years, we've gotten to know your operations, and we see that most of you are as efficient as you can be in pretty much every aspect of your business. However, when it comes to energy budgets, a lot of times it's a big black hole. And so most businesses are reactive in maintenance and repairs and upgrades, which leaves your energy and your operation and your O&M budgets basically bleeding. And typically there's no one in your company that has a clue of how much money is actually being wasted on energy and preventable maintenance. So the follow-up motive in creating the solution was because of the barriers that have long prevented the private sector from largely improving their building efficiency and their system performance and their sustainability metrics. In my eyes, these barriers basically boil down to capital, risk, and time, something I'm sure that you're all quite familiar with. And last but not least, we want to make sure that you're aware of and able to capitalize on Ameren's incentive programs, because you're paying into them every month, whether you use them or not. And we do business all over the country, and this is hands down one of the best programs in the US right now. And with all good programs, they don't last forever. So we've already seen programs in California and New England start to dry up. So now is the time to take advantage of these. When we talk about transforming businesses through energy efficiency, we mean making your facilities more engaging for employees and visitors, super efficient, which has a myriad of benefits, easier, on my slide here, easier to maintain and generate revenue, either to increase profitability or to go towards other facility improvements. So let's jump right in and give you some of the resources that we're working with here. So what is building commissioning? Building commissioning is a quality-oriented process for achieving, verifying, and documenting that the performance of facilities, systems, and assemblies meet defined objects and criteria. Basically, in an ideal world, this would happen on every single new building. And unfortunately, only 7% of buildings in North America have been commissioned. And this means that over the course of the years, this means that they were designed to achieve a certain performance, but once the systems were put in place, they weren't necessarily calibrated to operate as intended. So even systems that were put together well in the first place, commissioned or not, inevitably drift out of performance over time. And here's where retro-commissioning comes in. So retro-commissioning is the process of making low or no cost adjustments to an existing building's operations and systems to improve its effectiveness and energy performance. And I'm sure Todd and Paulo can expand on this for us in a moment. The second component we'll discuss today is shared energy savings, also referred to as energy as a service, which is basically funding and metering of energy projects that generate savings that is shared with you, the customer. And Quentin is going to go into greater detail for us there. So now that you're familiar with the components, we'll show you how we have done absolutely everything possible to offer you a program that removes these barriers. So to start off with, we'll get into the first important piece of the puzzle, which is Ameren's incredible retro-commissioning programs. And presenting today from Ameren Illinois is Todd Quigley. Todd oversees their retro-commissioning programs and is a wealth of knowledge on all of Ameren's commercial industrial incentive programs. Todd, thank you for joining us today, and I'll tee up your first slide here.
You're welcome, Shawn. Thank you for having me. Yeah, so like Shawn said, I am the Energy Advisor Specialist. I'm the lead for the Ameren Energy Efficiency Program for the industrial large facility and the RCx Light program. So we basically have two RCx programs, one with the large facilities and the RCx Light. As you can see, the RCx Light program is for customers that has less than 100,000 square feet. The building is at least 5 years old. You do not have to have an energy management control system, and there's a minimum of 5 years from your last major upgrade or tune-up. Mm-hmm. The large facility is 100,000 square foot or over. Again, 5 years or younger or older, the building must be, and the building must have an existing energy management control system. And again, at least 5 years from last major upgrade and tune-up. Next slide, please.
Sure.
So here on the RCx Lite, we have some guidelines along with some opportunities and examples of some of the energy savings opportunities. Now, these are also, of course, opportunities in the large facilities as well. So with the RCx Lite and the large facilities, these opportunities are the 0 to 1 year payback. So you have systems that are simultaneously heating and cooling, inoperable economizers, improved boiler controls, steam trap maintenance, HVAC system controls adjusted and balanced, and so forth. Next slide, please. So again, the large facilities, some of the guidelines here, potential measures are simultaneous heating and cooling operation, inoperable economizers, inaccurate set points, sensors requiring calibration, malfunctioning dampers, variable speed drives that operated unnecessarily high or in constant speed, and again, HVAC systems that need to be adjusted and balanced. Next slide, please. So the goal of the large facility in the RCx Lite is to provide incentives to support implementation of low and no cost energy efficiency improvements. So these are the 0 to 1 year payback. So the incentive for the RCx Lite is Ameren will pay 90% of the cost of the survey up to a $15,000 cap. And you must realize at least 70% of the implemented savings that's found. With the large facility, the Ameren will pay for 90% of the survey cost and no cap. And again, you must achieve the 70% of savings implemented. The goal is to reduce the energy operating costs by optimizing the systems for facilities, provide a roadmap for energy efficiency opportunities for capital improvements. So while the RCx survey is implemented, you also have projects, custom projects that can go from a half a year to 10-year payback. With that, Ameren will pay 12 cents a kW saved, capped at 80% of the project, and 75 cents a therm, again, capped at 75% of the project. The light RCx program, you do not have to have implementation can be initiated prior to submitting an implementation plan, and implementation meetings are not required. They are required, the meetings and a plan are required for the large facilities, retro-commissioning projects. Next slide, please. So beyond RCx, so you have energy opportunities and benchmarking. So again, we're talking about the custom incentive programs. Ameren has many incentive tools available to support capital projects. The custom projects must be listed in the implementation plan document in order to receive the RCx bonus. Project management cost evaluations of EEMs. Other energy opportunities are steam traps, commercial kitchen, equipment and controls, VFDs for pumps and fans, interior and exterior lighting upgrades, and facility benchmarking. Next slide, please.
Hey, Todd, can you mention real quick what is facility benchmarking
Sure.
and for you guys?
So facility benchmarking with us is basically on the Energy Star rating.
Mm-hmm.
So we compare how efficient you are compared to other facilities within your industry, of how inefficient or efficient you are comparable to the same type of manufacturers. Yeah. So you have the Energy Star rating there. Of course, the higher the rating, the more efficient you are. So it kind of, it lets your comments earlier about facilities really don't know how really inefficient they are mm-hmm. in their operations. Well, this way they can benchmark with or against other same like facilities within their industry.
Right. Cool. All right. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. So again, so the capital projects and custom incentives are capped at 8% of the project cost. That includes materials and labor. Incentive must be a minimum of 10% of project costs. Other incentive categories are new construction, feasibility study, meter monitoring, and a staffing grant. We also have standard measures of specialty equipment, like data center, commercial kitchens, small VFDs for air compressors, and lighting.
Good deal. All right.
Next slide. Our other retro commissioning we have, and I am not over this program. Rod Rhodes is, but so is our industrial refrigeration. So the industrial refrigeration retro commissioning is ideal for ammonia refrigeration and food processing facilities, refrigerated warehouses, and process cooling. Chiller-based refrigeration systems and process cooling systems in manufacturing and industrial facilities can also benefit from the program. Ameren will pay 90% of the survey cost plus 2 cents per kW saved of the verified savings on the 0 to 1 year no cost, low cost measures implemented. Next slide. So the eligibility requirements are minimum 500 ton, 500 horsepower system, minimum of 2 compressors, has to have been more than 2 years since the last upgrade, and pre-approval is required. Next slide, please. So more to the bottom line, again, the retro-commissioning industrial refrigeration can help reduce operating costs, help lower maintenance and equipment strain, provide a plan for future upgrades or capital budgets, provide a report with savings information that can be used on custom application or incentives. Again, custom applications historically have provided the biggest program incentives for qualifying projects. Some of the energy efficient measures are lowering condensing pressure, raising suction pressure, evaporator fan control, evaporator defrost settings, and compressor sequencing. Next slide, please. So the pre-approval is needed on both the large facility retro-commissioning, the retro-commissioning light, and the industrial refrigeration. Retro-commissioning must have a retro service provider, an RSP, an Ameren approved ally. Firms selected by Ameren Illinois provide support to customer and the delivery of these programs, selected based on their skills and experiencing working with the industrial refrigeration systems and RCx programs, and along with help with the application process. Rod Rhodes, again, is the lead for the industrial refrigeration, and there's this contact information as well.
Good deal. All right.
Next slide.
That was the last one for you, Todd.
Okay.
So appreciate that. Is there anything else you'd like to add in there?
No, you can always go onto our website, AmerenIllinoisSavings.com. There's a lot of information on there. And contact Rod or myself for any questions or concerns that you might have.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much. So the second part of the program is the all-encompassing RCx survey and the behind-the-scenes engineering and analysis that goes into these solutions. Paulo has worked on commercial industrial energy projects for over 20 years. He's a registered professional engineer, and he knows his way around complex building systems probably like the back of his hand by now. So we appreciate you joining us, Paulo, and hand it over to you. Sure.
Move to the next slide.
Certainly.
So I've just got a few slides I'm going to cover here on the retro-commissioning process for refrigeration systems. So it should be pretty quick, but if you guys have any questions, definitely chime in. So for the usually for these surveys that we do for refrigeration systems, there's really 3 main steps that occur as part of this process. The first step is to do the pre-site visit data collection. And this is where we would typically send out a spreadsheet questionnaire to the facility that basically asks them some general information about their equipment. So, how many refrigeration compressors they have, what size are they, what's the suction pressure, what's the discharge pressure for the system. So some general information that we will collect before visiting the site, really to validate how much time we need to spend on site in order to evaluate the systems. And to make sure that they are a good candidate, or if it's something that's too small, so it's not really worth pursuing under a retro-commissioning process. So once we receive that, usually from that we will then estimate how much time on site we need to spend in order to properly evaluate their system. Usually for refrigeration systems, depending on the size, it's typically between 2 and 3 days on site in order to evaluate the systems. And usually the way that's structured is we will spend the first day interviewing the operators of the systems and the facility managers, really trying to dig in to, answer some questions on how they operate the systems seasonally, how they operate the systems over the year, what issues they have in the systems, just so that we can make sure we address them with the recommendations that come up. After that survey process, we usually spend the remaining time really collecting data on the system. So it's digging into your existing BMS, or I guess management system for your refrigeration system, and really pulling information off the system so that we can run the analysis based off the current settings for your system. Once we've collected all that data, we will then return home, and then from there we will then generate a report that basically includes all the recommended actions for your particular system, along with the potential savings for those projects. And then if there are low cost, no cost savings, then obviously it's immediate payback on those projects. If there are more involved projects, then obviously there's some costs associated with that. So we'll go through and basically estimate what the cost estimates are for doing those projects. And those would be more of those capital intensive projects that I guess Todd was mentioning earlier. So go ahead, if you want to move on to the next slide. Okay, so this is just a sample of the pre-site assessment questionnaire that we will send out to the facilities. And this one, it looks like this is for HVAC systems, but basically what this will do is it will have columns for each piece of equipment. And then on the left side, it'll be whatever utility system that we're looking at. So in the refrigeration system, obviously this will be on the refrigeration equipment. So, for example, on the refrigeration equipment, we'll ask for, okay, what's the make and model of the equipment? What's the size of the unit in terms of tonnage? As I mentioned before, what's the suction pressure you guys are operating at? And just general information about your equipment. All right, if you want to move on to the next slide. Okay. So that's kind of the I know it's kind of quick, but that's kind of the general, overview of how the surveys run. In terms of some of the potential opportunities that we would be evaluating for your systems, these are the ones that really revolve around refrigeration systems. And I guess some of these were mentioned before, but obviously we'll be looking at both floating the condenser pressure on your refrigeration system, as well as raising the suction pressure. And really all that has to do with reducing that lift on your compressors so that you're putting less work on those compressors. We'll also look at if there's any opportunities on your, it's actually refrigeration compressors, if there's any opportunities installing VFDs on your refrigeration compressors so that you get a better part load efficiency on the equipment while it's running. And then also if you have multiple compressor situations, we'll also evaluate how they operate together to see if there's any opportunities in terms of sequencing those more efficiently, if that opportunity exists. And then for actually I should say evaporator ECMs, but then we'll also look at the evaporators in the system as well to see what kind of opportunities exist, whether it be, cycling the fans depending on if they're running or not in terms of if they're calling for cooling or not. We'll look at defrost controls on those units as well. So really it's a pretty comprehensive, I would say, energy survey on the refrigeration system. And from that, there'll be some low no cost opportunities that can be implemented immediately. And then there'll be other opportunities that will require some level of capital investment in order to achieve those savings. So.
Good deal.
All right.
All right. I think that might be the last slide for you. And then we'll hop on over to the Molumia piece. Paulo, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So the third piece of the puzzle is a brilliant project enabling solution from Molumia. So Quentin Barnes, one of the company's founders and the VP of Sales and Marketing, is here to dive into the hows and whys of the solution. Quentin, pass the mic over to you. Thanks for being here.
You got it. Pleasure. Yeah. And thanks, Paolo and Todd and Shawn for outlining this. I think you guys definitely outlined the why and a good bit of the what, as well as a bit of the how. What the ESP program is about. Yes, I'm from Molumia, and there's the ESP program represents an alliance between Molumia and the Ameren Illinois Energy Efficiency Program. But really this is about the ESP program and what it can do to enable the measures that do require some cost and aren't, just some of the more nuts and bolts of the recommissioning to really get deployed in a fast, effective, and cost-effective way. So the ESP program is based on, like what Shawn said, efficiency as a service and the concept of shared savings. And the idea really is that there's a lot of benefit that can really be brought to your facility if we're able to take on these upgrades. The idea here is that there's no upfront cost to the ESP program. What we are doing is leveraging the future potential savings, energy savings, that we know we can create with these programs. The ESP program will take on those energy savings and take on the large part of the onus of designing, funding, managing, metering, and then also maintaining the system for, like it says here, about a 4 to 7 year service term. Every project gets a revenue grade or a few revenue grade meters that measures how much is actually being saved at the site. And a percentage of those verified savings go to you every single month from the beginning. So you are cash flow positive from day one. And another percentage of the savings goes back to the ESP program to help pay for it. So it's a great way to leverage the utility rebates and resources that are available, as well as start this project immediately without having to deal with that upfront cost hurdle. My fault for making it so small, but again, AmerenIllinoisSavings.com, in this case /ESP. You can see that there in the bottom left. It's a great spot to check out and get a few more details on the program. And you've got the staff of Molumia as well as the staff of the Ameren Illinois Energy Efficiency team helping out. We got our program manager, who you might end up speaking with, Dalton Connor, right there. But yeah, next slide, please. So many different aspects of your building. I appreciate everyone else highlighting all of the different elements, as well as getting down into the nitty gritty. Going up just a little more high level, what are the measures that we're looking to upgrade with the ESP program? It's primarily refrigeration, HVAC, and LED lighting. There are so many other building components and systems, but what we're really trying to do is make sure that we can provide a relatively short service term to you. And we want you, the user, and you and your building to get an immediate benefit and see that immediate cash flow positive benefit from this service program, from upgrading these sites. So we're putting, hardware and software into refrigeration, also hardware and software into, RTUs, rooftop units, and other HVAC systems, and also taking care of LED lighting, retrofits, new fixtures, and controls. Most folks have done at least probably 5%, 10% of their building. We rarely see someone who doesn't have a little bit of their LED lighting done, but this is a great way, as we're taking care of the rooftop units, to either complete the rest of your fleet, if you've only maybe done one of 3 or 4 buildings that you manage, or the rest of your site, and just get it all taken care of without having to use any of your capital budget, with a maintenance program included. And because we are measuring at the circuit level how much is actually being saved every single month. Yeah, next slide. So this is a partnership here. This is us really trying to bring a transparent, responsible service to you. The partnership is, between Molumia and Ameren Illinois. However, it's really a partnership between your building and this ESP program. We want to create the best system, design the best system, have the implementation be really smooth. so that energy savings get created. You know, your building and you are the largest benefactor of that, and we really want your participation in order to make it work. You know, like Paolo said, there's a lot of coordination in the well-functioning operation of your buildings and your systems, and your guidance of how you use that site, where there's a clunk, where there are future plans, how your employees are finding different problems in the building, are integral to us designing the best system. And then a little bit of the imagery here is how we ensure that execution is done really smoothly moving forward. You know, again, you can see that small little enclosure there. You know, we go ahead and tap again just the circuits that we are measuring at the site and verify those savings each month. And that way, you know that your service bill, which is seen a little image there in the bottom right, every single month is only for a percentage of the actual energy savings and benefit that you have received. Any questions? Again, check out Ameren Illinois Savings.com/ESP to learn more about this service program.
Good deal. Thank you very much, Quentin. Appreciate it. There's one final ingredient of this program, and that is HotWattEnergy. And so we just kind of give you a little background here. We've been turnkeying energy projects for well over 12 years. We have a commitment to long-term energy partnerships, and that's why we're getting this whole group together to put this program on for you. So just a little background about HotWatt. We're an energy solutions company. It's been really focused on the food and beverage industry. And we're both a registered trade ally with Ameren, as well as an approved retro-commissioning service provider. And we are now an associate member of the Beer Distributors of Illinois. So we'll be seeing you folks more in the future, hopefully at some live events later on in the year. And just to kind of summarize, why work with HotWattEnergy. We focus on the more complex engineered solutions around refrigeration and HVAC, but we've got loads of experience with lighting and other forms of energy efficiency. We are a mission-driven company. We're passionate about helping the planet, reversing climate change. We are an active member of the NBWA. We've got this educational webinar called Profitability Through Energy Efficiency and Renewables that we did for their conference last year, and you can check that out on our website. And I mentioned our ties to Ameren Illinois earlier. We're really excited about this program. On the project we just completed for Donwald Distributing, Ameren paid for 55% of the upfront cost of the refrigeration efficiency and made their payback under 18 months, which is truly incredible. And we take care of all the paperwork for you, and we manage that whole process with Ameren. So in summary, we're really trying to do everything we can do to reduce your energy costs and just take costs out of your business that are unnecessary. And our customers are folks just like you who are serving the country its favorite food and drink. So if you ever have any questions around anything energy related, you can just pick up the phone and call us, and we're here to lend advice any way we can. So we heard from the different parts of this program, and each on their own are doing great things. However, the synergy of these four pieces put together really designed to positively impact your business. And our goal is to be an extension of your staff. So basically, not everybody can have a sustainability director or energy engineer on staff. And so that's kind of where we come in. We act as part of your team. We can be your energy team. And so now that you understand the four parts of the program, I'll show you how this can begin for you. And basically, 4 simple steps to our process, to our what we call our shared energy savings program. And so it starts with the process of gathering some information about your facility. And this alludes to what Todd was talking about earlier, utilizing the Department of Energy's Energy Star benchmarking process. And this allows us to get a feel for your facility's current efficiency. And as Paulo would say, that this may not be effective in a large industrial environment, but at least it gives us an idea of where you're at right now compared to other facilities like yours in the country. And then we can set goals behind Energy Star. And it's just a really good program that we take care of. We do it for you at no cost. And that's something we just do right up front. And we also do a free utility bill audit to make sure you're not being overcharged and that you're on the right rate structure. And I know Todd mentioned it, but your building must be 5 years old or older to qualify for Ameren's program. So if you have a newer facility, we could still Energy Star benchmark it, but you probably won't be falling into a retro-commissioning survey. So if we find reasonable cost savings through that process, we move to step 2, which we call profitability planning. This is where we discuss our program and your possible opportunities for savings. And we move through into the retro-commissioning process. And so through this process, as Paulo mentioned, we'll find all of the potential building system optimizations and any larger scale energy projects. Upon completion of the study, all of the data and analysis is captured, analyzed, costed, and compared, and we'll present you with an energy assessment report. So step 3 is upgrading building systems at no cost. And this is going back to that ESP program. We start off by reviewing that RCx report together and the solutions we designed for you. And then we'll look at a master service agreement that triggers Olumia's funding or the ESP program funding and allows us to start the implementation process of the optimizations that we've uncovered to have that 0 to 1 year payback. This is also where we would start implementing some larger projects and start that metering process. And we implement the larger energy efficiency projects, controls, and I'd like to throw in there that we typically would use your preferred contractor, electrical, HVAC, or refrigeration personnel. This kind of gives us an element of trust around these installations, yet allows us to drive the proper specification and manage the materials and the subs on site and make sure that the systems and controls are commissioned properly. Kind of the big point of all this. And step 4 is capturing savings. So after installation and commissioning of these new systems, savings will come on your next utility bill. Up to this point, all the work has been done to you at no cost. Through the MSA, you'll retain a portion, usually 20% of the earned savings, give or take, depending upon the structure of that ESP. And it'll just happen month to month over the course of the term. So for many of you, this could easily be tens of thousands of dollars per year of immediate revenue with no out-of-pocket expense. And at the end of the term, you own the equipment and 100% of the earned savings every month. So that is kind of the whole process. And lastly, we'll just kind of talk about some of the benefits. I could go on for a while, but here's a short list right here. First of all, we talked earlier about that black hole called your energy budget. So imagine having full insight into that budget and knowing that your building was exactly how efficient it was, and knowing that you're operating at peak efficiency and effectiveness. And another amazing benefit of this program is that you're getting upgraded, retrofit, or brand new equipment at absolutely no cost. Number 3, your systems will run smoother, have less issues, less maintenance, and on the stuff that we're replacing or retrofitting, we'll take over that maintenance for you, as Quentin alluded to. So all of these things that we put in place are designed to dynamically transform your workplace, from making it brighter to quieter to safer, easier to use, more engaging, all of which increase employee morale and productivity. And while these things are hard to quantify, you can feel the change in your business, in your facility, and you can see it in your fellow employees. And that happens on every job we do. I think anybody on this call could allude to that being one of the great benefits of implementing energy efficiency. And so just to reinstate, probably the biggest benefit is the generating immediate revenue just 1 month after it's done, and really avoiding the capital and the risk that are the barriers, and just becoming more sustainable in general. So basically, I guess I would open it up for Q&A. If anybody has any questions they'd like to ask, that'd be a good time. There's one thing I'd like to point out is that to get started, go to HotWattEnergy.com, check out the explainer video on the bottom of our homepage, click on or go to Energy Star page and sign up for Energy Star benchmarking. And I think that kind of concludes our.
Well, Shawn, I saw 2 questions in there. One question was, what types of meter do you install to measure the savings?
Sure.
And so those are Molumia meters. We use revenue grade, off the shelf components, then build in a little bit of the communication and software modules as well. They are circuit level meterings, which I think is probably the most important piece of that we are directly metering the active measures versus measuring, like your utility meter, the high water mark of all usage in your entire facility. So that's the pretty important thing. That way we know each month when you get your service bill, it says, hey, I saved $100, that's $100 saved from that actual measure that we installed. And that kind of gets a little bit to the second question of what you mean by shared savings. How much of the savings comes to the business versus funding the program and going back to the service bill. That's a little bit of a function of the economics of the project. But generally, I think one of those slides in there, I said the average savings split is about 75-25. So when, if next month we see that and measure that we saved $100, there would be a program and service bill for $75. If the following month we see we saved $101, the next month there'd be a service bill for $75.75. So that savings share stays consistent throughout our service term, and that is based on the actual measured usage of that system and the verified and delivered savings to you and your building.
Yeah.
So hope that can answer those questions.
Cool. Thank you for that. If we have any more questions, you can stick them in the chat. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and post this on our website. We'll send a copy out to everyone. So thank you very much. We're grateful that you've joined us today and look forward to connecting with you. I'll be your primary contact. My email is Shawn, SHAWN, @HotWattEnergy.com. You can reach me directly on my cell phone. The number is 586-491-7621. I wish you all the best to your families and your businesses. And thank you to all the presenters. Appreciate you all joining us today. And take care, everyone. Bye-bye.